paistavat kuin patsaat ja velkevät kuin vyö. Ne löi mua, ne loi mua, ne löi mua, ne loi mua.
Hello. Welcome to another edition of 30 Minutes with the Author. I'm Lori Crever. We came out on a glorious Saturday afternoon to the Red Balloon Bookshop here in St. Paul on Grand Avenue to celebrate their 15th anniversary. And we're joined for a few moments today by a wonderful storyteller, Lise Lunge-Larsen, originally from Norway, and now she's settled in Duluth. And she's just published a book that is The Troll with No Heart in His Body and Other Troll-Related Stories.
Oh, they're all troll stories.
Okay. And you've been storytelling for
5 years, long before it was a fashionable thing to do.
Yes.
Yeah, for as long as I've lived in the United States. It pretty much started within a half a year to a year of coming to this country. I was telling stories.
Do you get invited mostly to tell stories to children's groups?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's my preference. I do storytelling for children, and if the adults enjoy it, that's fine, you know.
Okay.
But I don't usually do adult groups. There's occasionally certain, exceptions.
Now, with the troll, is that a character in folk tales that comes from Norway?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think if you ask native Norwegians, the trolls of a Norwegian symbol, it would be the troll. I mean, the whole country is shaped by trolls. So the mountains, which Norway is mostly mountains, right? The mountains are really all dead trolls, or it's where trolls used to live, and they're named for the trolls that they once were.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's big, old forests, and that's where they roamed, and so yeah, this is the homeland of the trolls.
And I have a Norwegian heritage, and now I'm learning something for the first time because I didn't realize that. Is this the first time you've compiled your troll stories into a book?
Yeah, right. I mean, I've been telling these stories for over 20 years, and I work with children, so I mean, I knew children loved trolls, but why
do you think that is? Because they like to be scared?
They like to be scared, and there's something sort of really fundamental about trolls. They're sort of like an exact foil for a human being. They're exactly our opposite. They're big, they're ugly, they're mean, they're nasty, and they're really, really stupid. And so even a little kid can outwit a troll, but you can't just do it like that. And so I think what appeals to children in a lot of the stories is that the way to outwit a troll is by using the best of themselves, the best of your humanity. So you have to have a lot of pluck, a fair amount of ingenuity, you have to have courage, you have to have patience, you have to be kind, and very often you have to use the cooperation of, of a good friend, or if you're a boy of a princess, or if you're the princess heroine, you need, maybe a prince. So it's rare that you do it all on your own. It's through, it's often about cooperation and about, it's about how to overcome great obstacles. And so, trolls are trolls and they're very real, but there's a way in which that kind of obstacle is very real to a child. I mean, I think a young child, if you always have a lot of obstacles in your life, and for a young child, I can remember my kids. One of my kids was the only one in kindergarten who hadn't lost a tooth yet. It was like the end of the world. Will I walk around with my baby teeth all my life? Or am I going to be invited to a birthday party? Everybody else is. Will I be invited to? Am I, going to be able to sleep through the night when I'm at my friend's house? I mean, all those kinds of things, in a way, are great obstacles. And so the stories, there's a way in which the trolls are a concrete way in which to battle obstacles that you face. So they're more than just nasty trolls. For kids, they're nasty trolls. But I think if you carry these stories with you, what you carry with you is the ability to deal with difficulty, with obstacles, with huge, big things. And life's full of them.
Life is full of them.
Yeah.
Who told you the troll stories?
My mom and my dad, particularly my dad. He used to come charging into our bedrooms at night. He was really tall, like 6'2" or 3", and he'd stuff pillows under his shirts. And after it was dark, my brother and I slept in a little bedroom with bunk beds. He'd come storming in, screaming, "I smell the smell of human blood," you know. So then we had to outwit him.
What a great household to grow up in. And was he an accountant or by day, or what was he doing?
No,
he was not being a troll.
Antiquarian, a dealer in old, rare books and manuscripts. So it was, you know, I grew up with old things and old stories, and very dramatic. My mom and dad, for fun, used to, when they were younger, used to play sort of background on stage, you know, like if you had a play and you needed people to sit in the background.
Like the townspeople?
Right, townspeople, or sitting in a restaurant, or maybe dancing, you know, that would be my parents.
It sounds like a great environment.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Not very typically Norwegian. I mean, as a child, I had season tickets to the opera.
Oh.
My parents would camp outside to get tickets because it was that important.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah. So,
and how long have you been in the state of Minnesota? When did you come here?
I came in 1974. I was a Crown Prince Herald Scholar, and I came to Augsburg College.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you must have fallen in love, maybe,
and
stayed?
Yeah, right away. And so I stayed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do you teach or anything now? I mean, besides
now I write and tell stories full time. I used to teach English to foreign students.
Okay.
I taught 6 years at the College of St. Catherine's, and I graduated with a master's in applied linguistics.
Okay.
Although I wrote my thesis on using storytelling to teach English to foreign students. So I just kind of took it along in whatever I did. I taught a lot of classes in storytelling and children's literature also, and I've done that freelance or, you know, when they're desperate at the university in Toulouse.
Okay.
Can you teach for us? Okay.
Okay. And now you have a relationship with the Red Balloon Bookshop here in St. Paul. You were here 15 years ago when they opened?
Yeah, because I was storytelling and I was this little Norwegian girl, you know, and I was getting my master's was in applied linguistics, but I wasn't that fond of linguistics. So I spent all my time over in the children's literature department, and I did book reviews for them, and I minored in children's literature.
Okay.
And so that's how I got hooked in with that whole community. I, you know, did work for the Curlin collection and all these children's literature things. So an old friend.
Is this your first book that you've published?
It's my second book.
What was the second one?
Is The Legend of the Lady Slipper.
Okay.
Which I co-wrote with a friend in Duluth.
Okay.
Margie Preuss.
Which is the flower for the...
Yeah, it's a Minnesota state flower, but it's an Ojibwe legend about how it came to be.
Well, this is great.
Yeah.
I know that you have to get going today, but we've been visiting with Lise Lunge-Larsen, and her book is The Troll with No Heart in His Body. And we should mention, too, who you collaborated with.
Well, with this book with Betsy Bowen, who did the illustrations. And I'd like to say that it's, having been a student in children's literature and studied, I even wrote papers on, you know, Norwegian troll stories in America. And this is the first time ever that I think I've seen anyone capture a troll. This is actually right now with the Norwegian Illustrators Association in Norway. And they couldn't believe, they said, how did she know about trolls? She must be Norwegian American, she gets it. So that's pretty cool.
That is wonderful. Well, congratulations, and we wish you much success.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
I'm Lori Crever, signing off for 30 Minutes with the Author, encouraging you to read a book. It could change your life, and let's encourage our children to do the same.
What brings them together here today is this book, The Troll with No Heart in His Body. Oh ho! And Lisa has retold some troll stories from Norway, and Betsy has illustrated them, and it's just a wonderful book. And I said, how could we be so lucky as to have this book to start our celebration of our birthday, and to have both of you here. Welcome to both of you and to all of you. And we're going to let, I don't know how you want to do this. We could have Lisa tell us your stories, and then Betsy will tell you how she does some of those woodcuts and show you how that's happened. So we'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, I think I have to tell the story that I told here 15 years ago, because it wouldn't be complete without it, I think. So the first story I'm going to tell you is a really short story, and it's one that I'm sure all of you know, and it is certainly my all-time favorite story, and that is the story of the 3 billy goats gruff. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, in a far, far away country, there were 3 goats, and the name of all 3 goats were the billy goats gruff. Now these goats, they needed to go up into the mountains because that's where the grass was green, so they could eat and get big and fat. But they had one problem. In order to get up into the mountains, they had to walk across a great, big, huge bridge, and underneath that bridge lived an enormous troll. He had eyes as big as pewter plates and a nose as long as a poker. But there was no way around it. Across the bridge they had to go. So the first one to go across the bridge was the teeniest, tiniest of the 3 little goats. And when he walked across the bridge, it made a teeny, tiny little sound like this. And he went, trip, trap, trip, trap. Who's stepping over my bridge? Roared the troll. It's only me. I'm the teeniest, tiniest of the 3 little billy goats. And I'm on my way up into the mountains to get fat. Well, I'm gonna come and gobble you up now, roared the troll. Please don't eat me up. Why don't you wait a little while until my brother comes? He's really a lot bigger and fatter than I am. All right then, roared the troll, and off ran that little goat as fast as he could go. Now the next one to go across the bridge was the second of the 3 goats, and when he walked across the bridge, it made a sound like this. Can you help me? He went trip, trap, trip, trap, trip. Who's stepping over my bridge? It's only me. I'm the second of the 3 billy goats, and I'm on my way up into the mountains to get fat. Well, I'm gonna come and gobble you up now, roared the troll. Please don't eat me up. Why don't you wait a little while until my brother comes? He's really a lot bigger and fatter, and he's tastier too than I am. All right then, roared the troll, and off ran that little goat as fast as he could go. The next one to go across the bridge was the biggest of the 3 goats. He was just huge. His fur was shimmering and shining, and in front of his head he had 2 gigantic horns, and he was so heavy that when he walked across the bridge, it sounded like thunder, and it went trip, trap, trip, trap, trip. Who's stepping over my bridge? Roared the troll. Ha! It's me. I'm the biggest of the 3 billy goats gruff, and I'm on my way up into the mountains to get fat. Well, I'm gonna come and gobble you up now, roared the troll. Ha! Said the goat. Why don't you come along? I've got 2 spears. With those I'll poke out your eyeballs at your ears. I've got 2 curling stones. With those I'll break your body and bones. And he went at that troll. He broke every bone in his body, and he pushed him, whoa, way down into the river. And then he went with his brothers up into the mountains, where they ate and got so big and so fat that if the fat hasn't fallen off them yet, why, they're still there. Och snipp, snapp, snutta, här är äventyret ute. Which means snip, snap, snout, this tale is told out. Now, since it's Saturday morning and you're all sitting comfortable, do you want to hear one more story?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought, you know, that's a troll, and trolls are big, and they're huge, and they're ugly, and they're nasty, and they're really, 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 really stupid. So it's not too tough to outsmart one of those big old trolls. The second story I'm going to tell is about a troll hag. Troll hags are not quite as big as the trolls, but they're a little smarter, and they're really nasty. One of their favorite things to do is to steal things from kids. And so you'll hear how the boy in this story really had to have some help and use his brain to figure out how to outwit that troll hag so she wouldn't take all of his stuff. By the way, troll hags are really ugly. Pay attention. They're ugly in a really strange way. You pay attention to what she looks like. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, there was a boy who lived with his mom way up in the mountains in Norway. They were really poor. They just had a little tiny farm, but they got by. You know, they had what they needed to eat, and so they were very, very happy together. One fall day, the mom went to her little boy, whose name was Per, and she said, Per, go to the barn, fetch a bowl of flour, and we'll make cookies. Yes! Loved making cookies and sweetbreads and things. He was really excited. He ran over to the barn. He got a big wooden bowl, and he filled the wooden bowl with flour from the barrel until there was a big top on it. Then very carefully, he carried the bowl outside, and across the yard went, oh! The north wind came and blew all of the flour away. Not a speck was left in the bowl. So he had to go back inside the barn, and he filled the bowl all the way to the top again, and then very carefully he carried it outside when again the north wind came and blew all of the flour away. So there was nothing for him to do but to go back inside. He filled up the bowl. He couldn't even fill it. There was almost all out of flour. But he got the bowl about halfway full, and then very, very carefully he carried it outside, covering it with his body when again the north wind came and blew all of the flour away. And he had to go inside with the empty bowl to his mom and said, Mom, the north wind came and he blew all the flour away and there's nothing left. What are we going to do? Well, said his mom, that's it then. No more cookies for us, no cookies for Christmas, no more bread. We'll have to just eat gruel till springtime. What? No more cookies, just gruel? That's not fair. That's the north wind's fault. We didn't do anything wrong. I'm going to go and get it back. And before his mom could stop him, he stormed out of the door and ran off to the place where the north wind lived. He went on all day long, and finally in the late afternoon, he got to the place where the north wind lived. And when he got there, he knocked on that door and he hollered, you north wind, you come out here and talk to me right now. Pretty soon the door opened and out stepped the north wind. He was yawning. He was rubbing his eyes going, what's all this noise all about? I was taking an afternoon nap. I've been busy today. I know. You came to our house and 3 times you blew away all of our flour. And because of you, we're not going to get any cookies for Christmas, and we'll probably even starve, and it'll be your fault. Oh, I'm really sorry about that. You know, sometimes I get really carried away and I don't think about what I'm doing. And, you know, there's no way I can get that flour back for you. So why don't we not argue about it? I've got something else to give you instead. So the north wind went back inside and he came back. He brought with him a cloth. And he said, now this cloth is magic. All you have to do is to say to it, cloth, cloth, spread yourself and bring forth wonderful food. And when you shake it out, on it will be all the food you ever need. Wow, that was a great deal. That was better than cookies and everything. So he thanked the north wind. He took the cloth, tucked it under his arm, and off he went. It was getting really late in the day, and it was dark outside, you know, so he didn't kind of want to walk all through the woods by himself at night, so he decided to find a place where he could sleep. Along the way was an inn, which is kind of like a small hotel where you can stay. So he knocked on the door, And pretty soon, a troll hag with a nose so long that it almost touched the ground in front of her stepped out of the door. She looked at the boy and she said, "Yes, how can I help you?" "Oh, please, ma'am, I was wondering if I could have a bed for the night." "Well, how are you going to pay for it?" she said. Well, he took his cloth, he shook it out, and he said the magic words, "Cloth, cloth, spread yourself and bring forth wonderful food." And there, in the twinkling of an eye, the cloth was spread with the most amazing dishes. There were whole turkeys and roasts and sausages and meatballs, and there were pudding and pies, and there were lots of cookies and good things to drink. So the troll hag was very pleased. They fed all of the guests, and the boy ate, and when he was all done, he took the cloth, rolled it up, and went to his bedroom, put the cloth next to his pillow, and fell fast asleep. Well, in the middle of the night, when everyone else was sleeping, that sneaky troll hag, she came tiptoeing up the stairs with her. She had a cloth that looked just exactly like his, and she slipped into his room, and she exchanged her cloth for his, and took his cloth and hid it in her barn. So next morning, when the boy woke up, he had no idea anything had happened. He grabbed the cloth, he ran home to his mom, and he came running inside going, "Mom, Mom, you'll never believe this. We're never going to be hungry ever again. Watch this." He took the cloth, grabbed the corners, shook it out, and said, "Cloth, cloth, spread yourself and bring forth wonderful food." Nothing happened. Maybe he had to hold the other corners. So turned it around and said, "Cloth, cloth, spread yourself and bring forth wonderful food." But still nothing happened. He tried it forwards and backwards and upside down. He tried the words different ways, but nothing worked. So he said, "It's the north wind. He has tricked me again." And before his mom could stop him, he took off and he ran all the way back to the place where the north wind lived. Knocked on the door, calling out, "You north wind, you better come out here right now. I got to talk to you." Pretty soon the north wind opened up the door. "What? You again? What's the matter? You should know. First you give me this cloth, and then you tell me that it's going to be good, and it only worked once, and you blow away all of our flour, and I can't ever get back. So what are you going to do now?" "Well, I don't know what happened, but something's gone wrong here, and I don't know what it is. But let's not argue about it. I have something else for you." So he went inside, and this time he came back with a ram. This is a magic ram. All you have to do is to say to it, "Ram, ram, make money," and it will make all the money you ever need. Will it work more than once? Forever. Good, that was great. Now he could buy everything. So he thanked the north wind, took his ram, and ran off. But again, it was really late, and he decided to go back to the place where he could sleep for the night. Knocked on the door. Pretty soon, the troll hag stepped out. This time, her nose, it was dripping with soup and stew because she's been using it to stir the stew pot with. Oh, it was really awful. She looked at the boy and she said, "Yes, how can I help you?" "Please, ma'am, I was wondering if I could have a bed for the night." "Well, how are you going to pay for it?" Well, he turned to his ram and he said, "Ram, ram, make money." And out of its mouth onto the floor dropped a beautiful pile of gold coins. So he took the gold coins, he paid the troll hag, he went inside and he bought some food, and then he took the rest of the money, put it in his pocket, brought the ram with him upstairs, tied it to the bedpost, and went to sleep. But in the middle of the night, the same thing happened. Up the steps came that nasty troll hag with her. She had a ram that looked just exactly like his. She slipped into his room and exchanged his ram for hers and took his ram and hid it in her barn. So next day, he had no idea anything had happened. He grabbed the ram, he ran home to his mom and he said, "Mom, we're going to be rich. Wait till you see this." So he turned to the ram and he said, "Ram, ram, make money." But I tell you, if that ram made anything at all, it sure wasn't money. He could not make it to have it make gold coins. He got really mad again. He said, "It's the north wind. I can't believe it. It's tricked me again." And before his mom could stop him, off he went. He ran all the way back to where the north wind lived, knocked on their door, and pretty soon the north wind stepped out. "What? You again? Why are you back?" "Well, I think you know. First you come and you take away all of our flour, then you give me this cloth and you tell me that's going to work, and then you give me a ram and you say that's going to work forever. Well, it only worked once. Now what's been happening?" "I don't know what's been happening. This is something you're going to have to figure out for yourself. Something has got wrong and I don't know what it is. But I have one last gift for you." So he went inside and he came back with a stick. And he said, "Now this stick is magic. It will beat up anybody you want it to beat up. All you have to do is to say to it, 'Stick, stick, lay on,' and it will do the job. And when you want it to stop, all you have to do is to say, 'Stick, stick, stop beating,' and it will come back to you." Well, that was pretty handy, but he wanted to know, does it work more than once? Oh, it should work forever. Now use it wisely. "All right," said Pan, and he thanked the north wind. He took the stick and off he went. But again, it was getting really dark, so he went back to the inn. He knocked on their door, and out stepped the troll hag. This time, she had stuck her nose in her belt so that she wouldn't trip on it. It was going all the way on the side. She looked over at the boy, she looked at the stick, and she said, "Yes, how can I help you?" "Please, ma'am, I was wondering if I could have a bed for the night." "Well," she said, looking at the stick, "how are you going to pay for it?" Well, you know, he still had some gold coins left. So he took some coins from his pocket, paid for his room, and this time he went straight to bed without showing her what his stick could do. Well, she was really curious. She didn't know what that stick could do, but she just knew it had to be magic, and she thought she could figure out what it was later. So in the middle of the night, when everyone was sleeping, up the stairs came the troll hag. She was carrying with her a stick that looked just like his. She went up to his room very quietly. She opened the door, she slipped into his room, and she was leaning over his bed. She was just about to exchange her stick for his stick when the boy sat up in the bed and yelled, "Stick, stick, lay on!" And the stick leaped from the pillow, and it started to pummel the troll hag. She was hopping around the room. "Ow, ow, 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 oh, ow, ow, oh, oh, make it stop, make it stop, oh, oh." She was screaming and hopping and didn't know what to do, and all the while the boy just said, "No, I am not going to make it stop. Not until you give me back my ram and my cloth. Make it stop, I'll do it. Ow, ow, make it stop," she yelled. So finally, he said, "All right, stick, stick, stop beating." And the stick stopped beating. It flew right back into his hand, and then with his stick in his hand, he followed her down the steps, across her house, across the yard, and into her barn, where he got back his cloth and his ram. And he slept the rest of that night, protected by the stick. Early next morning, he took all of his treasures and he brought them back to his mom, and with those, they had all the food and all the money and all the safety they needed to the end of their days. Og snipp, snapp, snute, her det eventyret ute, which is Norwegian. And it means snip, snap, this tale is told. Snip, snap, snout, this tale is told out. You should learn how to say that in Norwegian today, don't you? Can you say it? Snip, snap, snute. It will do in Norwegian.